Hey guys, welcome back, and in today's video we are going to be continuing our positional rankings as we get ready for the college football season and gear up for the 2026 NFL Draft. And today we are going to be taking a closer look at the interior offensive line class. This is a really interesting group. I don't think there is a consensus top guy in this class, but there are a lot of players that I have in that third to fourth round range that I think can be major contributors at the next level. So today I'm going to be giving you my top 15. But before we do that, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Over the next couple of weeks, there will be a plethora of new videos coming out. The prospect spotlights will start next weekend, so I know you guys are excited for that one. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on a video. Let me know which players you guys want to see me talk about in the prospect spotlights. But let's go ahead and kick this off with my number 15 interior offensive lineman, and that is going to be LSU guard Josh Thompson. We talked about Caleb Tiernan, the Northwestern tackle. This was his teammate on that offensive line. 6'5", 301 pounds, had a 73.1 offensive grade per PFF, and he played right guard for Northwestern. Now, LSU lost a lot on the offensive line. You lost Will Campbell, you lost Miles Frazier, you lost Emory Jones. They lost 4 out of the 5 starters from last year's line, but they went out and they got Josh Thompson, who was linked to Michigan, he was linked to Tennessee. They were able to lure him over, and I like some of what I saw from him. I think he's got really strong hands for the guard position. He hits with some real power, but as a run blocker, I thought that he showed great traits. He moves to the second really well. He can climb, he can pull, and he does a really good job of sealing off rushing lanes and giving running backs holes to go through. I also think he anchors really well in pass protection. I think he's got overall really solid footwork. He showcases some good hands, but he is still a little bit heavy on his feet at times. He lost his inside shoulder way too much, struggled to consistently pick up blitzes and free rushers, and I think he just has poor technique in terms of his pad level. He plays high a lot, which is a common issue with Northwestern linemen. Same note I had with Caleb Tiernan. But I like Josh Thompson. I think he could definitely be a day 3 pick. I've got a 4th round grade on him. We'll see how he looks in the SEC. Obviously, competition's going to look a little bit different there, but I like Thompson, and I've got him at number 15. At number 14, that is where we are going to have Lynden Cooper out of Pittsburgh, a player that I really enjoyed watching his tape, a guy that I don't think is getting talked about nearly as much as he should. I've got 3 my guys in the interior class. Lynden Cooper is one of them. The next guy is the other one, and then one guy that didn't make the list that we'll talk about in the honorable mentions. But Lynden Cooper, 6'2", 315 pounds, formerly of NC State, transferred to Pitt last year and had a really productive season. I think in pass protection is where you are going to see Cooper really thrive. He's got really good hand counters for the position. He is a really good pass protector in terms of he just doesn't allow free rushers to get in his space. He picked up blitz as well. He anchored really well in pass protection, had good footwork. His hand placement was really good. And as a chip blocker, he was phenomenal. One of the best chip blockers in the entire draft class, I think. I loved a lot of what I saw from him in pass protection, but it was the areas that I was most worried about was in the run game. I just don't really see him as a great athlete. He was an okay run blocker, but not a guy that had elite quickness to climb the second level, not a guy that was going to be an elite puller. Reminds me a little bit of Miles Frazier last year for LSU, where I really like what he could do in pass protection. Maybe not the greatest run blocker or athlete, so he's going to slip a little bit down the draft board. I also think he's going to have to improve his technique. He lunged a lot. That was an issue that I noticed consistently on tape with Cooper. If he can improve that, I think he's got the upside to go at the back end of the 3rd round. But right now, again, got a 4th round grade on him, but really liked what I saw. Pitt has quite a few players in this draft process that I think are really enticing. At number 13, I've got Luke Pettit from Florida State. Now, we talked about Lynden Cooper not getting enough love. I think Luke Pettit is in that same category, but even more so. I have not heard anybody mention his name, And I think this is one of the most impressive center prospects in this class. Now, if I'm not mistaken, of the, I believe, 15 guys that we're talking about today, I think 7 of them are centers. This is a really good center class, and it's a league that doesn't have a lot of elite centers. You've got your Creed Humphreys and your Tyler Linderbaums, and you've got some low-end guys like Drew Dahlman and Ryan Kelly, but I think the league is going to have a really big influx of centers coming in, and I think Pettit is a guy that has real potential. Another guy who's 6'2", 303 pounds, might have some size limitations, but if you want a guy that can play in a pass-heavy offense and be an elite pass protector, Pettit was the best pass protecting center in the class, I would say by quite a large margin. He is phenomenal. Allowed just 6 pressures on the season. Go watch his tape against Ole Miss, which, by the way, Ole Miss had, I think, 3 or 4 guys that got drafted really highly on that defensive line. 0 pressures in that game. Every other starting lineman on Wake Forest allowed 2. He is a transfer from Wake Forest. He's a little bit older, was a recruit in the 2020 class, but he's got excellent footwork. He picks up free rushers really well. His anchor, his play strength is phenomenal. I want to say he was deadlifting like 625. This is a guy that has incredible strength, great hands. He knows how to win the leverage battles. But again, not a great athlete, I don't think. I don't think he's a great run blocker. He struggled to connect in the second level. And I do worry about if he's going to be able to hold up against power. He's 303 pounds. There were 2 instances in particular where a guy would lower his pads and was able to kind of get underneath of him. Very curious to see how he looks going to Florida State. It's still the ACC, but I'm intrigued very much so with Luke Pettit. He is a little undersized and a little bit older, but his pass protection tape is phenomenal, and I've got him at number 13. At number 12, I've got DJ Campbell out of Texas. Now, this is around the range where I've got true day 2 players. I think that's kind of the depth of this class, where there are going to be a lot of 2nd to 3rd round picks that are going to be interior linemen. And I think DJ Campbell is in that range. 6'3", 332 pounds. One of the biggest guys that we're going to talk about in today's video. He's just got great size, but I think he is a guy that he just plays with great strength. He has a very strong lower body. He's hard to move in pass protection, but he also is a better athlete than I think he gets credit for. He's a great puller. He did a good job of making plays up the field in the run game, and I thought his blitz recognition was really good. Great help blocker, one of the best chip blockers in the entire class. He is still a guy that I think has got to improve some of his technique. Plays with some high pads. His anchor can be up and down. For a guy that's 330 pounds on the interior, I want to see him hold his ground a little bit better, and unfortunately, we just didn't see it consistently enough. I also just thought he was a little bit heavy on his feet. He was not great at climbing into the second level as a run blocker. Now, I don't think DJ Campbell is a bad player by any means. There are some concerns that I have about him. I just don't love the athleticism, don't love the anchor. And I did think he got beat to his inside shoulder more often than you'd like to see. So I've got him at number 12. I've got a true 3rd round grade on DJ Campbell. I think he's a really good player. Very intrigued to see what he looks like this year at Texas. At number 11, I've got Fernando Carmona. Now, this is a player that I absolutely loved last year. He was the left tackle for Arkansas, but they're kicking him inside this year. He's going to be playing left guard. If he plays up to the standard that I think he can, I think this is a guy that could end up being a top 50 draft pick. I think he's got that type of upside because I love the traits that he has. This is a 6'5", 325-pound lineman. Started his career at San Jose State, went to Arkansas, and I love the athleticism. Really good foot speed. His lateral quickness is fantastic. And I think his ability to get to the second level is phenomenal. He is another guy that I think picks up blitzes really well. He's got a strong football IQ, recognizes where free rushers are coming from, and he does do a good job of picking them up. He has that finishing mentality that the NFL loves. He brings a ton of power to the run game. He hits hard, and he's showcased the ability to pancake guys in the run game, which you absolutely love. I liked his hands and pass protection, and I think he continuously has gotten better. Transferred into the SEC, still has to improve some areas of his game. For one, he had a really ugly situation where I don't remember who they were playing, but he stomped on the chest of an opposing player. That's a major red flag. Character concerns potentially could be there. But this is a guy that his anchor is really poor. He really was pushed back far too often. A guy that just really struggled to anchor consistently. He's not an elite run blocker either. Takes a lot of bad angles, feels lost at times, and he plays with high pads. There's a lot to like in there in terms of the traits and the upside. And I think moving him to the inside is going to be better for his career because he is going to get more favorable matchups. And I think he's going to thrive in that role. But there are some definite concerns. The pad level is going to have to improve. He's got to improve the anchor. But I liked what I saw from him, and I've got him at number 11. At number 10, another guy that I loved last year, I want to say was my number 1 or 2 interior player going into the year, was Alabama center Parker Braillesford. I'm not as high on Braillesford as I once was. It's hard to really understand, I don't really know what he is because he's still 290 pounds. That was the big concern last year. Now, he has gotten better. He was 275 pounds at Washington, transferred to Alabama, and he's up to 290 now. He's still very undersized. There are still areas that I like about him. The athleticism is there. He's really good in pass protection, great hand placement, great footwork. He has athleticism to climb the second level, be a good run blocker, good chip blocker, and he is a very balanced player. I love that about his game. He plays with great timing. He is, like I said, very balanced, controls the rep, but the anchor's up and down. The size is a concern. He still has to improve utilizing his length. He lets defenders work into his chest way too often, and you're just not going to win the leverage battles if defenders are able to easily work inside. So Braillesford has the tools and he has the traits. We need to see a little bit more consistency from him. Now, again, I still think he's a third-round type of player. I think Alabama's done a fantastic job of producing interior players. We'll talk about another one here in a little bit, but I'm very intrigued to see not only can he bulk up, but can he improve some of his technique? And if he can do that, I still think he has the upside to be a really, really great center. But I've got Parker Braillesford at number 10. At number 9, we've got Wendel Mo at Tennessee, a guy that I've seen get a lot of love. As a Tennessee fan, I'm excited to see what he can bring to the table. I think he's in a really great scheme for what he does best. He is a guy that I love the power that he brings. I watched him last year. His power is phenomenal. He is one of the nastiest, hard-hitting blockers that you are going to find. Great size at 6'2", 335 pounds. He is one of the best pass-protecting guards in this draft class. He has great footwork. He brings excellent pop with his hands. He wants to drive you back, wants to drive you into the ground. And he is phenomenal in that phase. Moves really well, I would say, for the position. He has some really nice athleticism. The hands are great, but it all kind of comes to a screeching halt. And the reason I've got him at 9 is I think he is a genuinely terrible run blocker right now. There are so many areas that he needs to improve. Connecting at the second level, making contact with defenders. The amount of whiffs that were on Mo's tape were just, it was jaw-dropping. He had so many just bad run blocking reps that do concern me a little bit. And I think he's going to have to work on his angles. The footwork at times can be a little choppy. So there's a lot to like in pass protection. If he can be even a serviceable run blocker, I think you feel a lot better about him. But right now, you're not getting anything from him on the run game, and that does concern me. The upside is there. There certainly is. Tennessee is a very spread offense. They do like to pass the ball. That is exciting for Mo, but with the quarterback questions, they might be forced to run the ball a little bit more than I think they'd like to. And if Mo doesn't have a good season, I don't know if he will be a top 15 guy. But I like the traits, and I'm going to put him at number 9 because his pass protection tape is so good right now. At number 8, this is going to be another center, Logan Jones from Iowa. Really impressed. One of the last guys that I watched was on my radar, and a guy that I really liked. I was really low on the other Iowa offensive lineman. Didn't really love Jennings Dunker, but I think Logan Jones is a really good center. 6'3", 300 pounds. There might be some size limitations there, but one of the best athletes in this draft class. I think he reminded me a lot of Jared Wilson, who was one of my favorite offensive linemen in last year's class, because he is a player that just is super quick off the line of scrimmage. He can make plays in the run game because of his explosiveness. He brings great leg drive to the table. And I also thought that in pass protection, there were some really good moments. Had some moments where I thought he countered rushers well, but I think the best part of his game was his anchor. He was very strong in his lower half, a guy that I believe has some Iowa records in terms of deadlifting and things of that nature. He's incredibly strong, incredibly athletic. So if you put those two things together, you've got what should make a very good offensive lineman. The reason I've got him at number 8, there are some things I'd like to see get cleaned up. He plays out of balance a lot of times where he would end up on his backside, end up on the ground. Overextension, I thought, was an issue for him. And I also think for as strong as he is in his lower half, I think his upper half could be a little bit better. His grip strength was not as great as you would want to see. Do I think it's in there and he can get there? Yes, I do. I do think he's got that type of upside. I have a third round grade on him, but there were areas that I definitely thought could get cleaned up. But Logan Jones is a really fun player, and I am excited to see what he can look like for Iowa. They're going to be able to run the football very well behind Jones and Dunker. So I've got him at where do I have him at? Number 8. At number 7, this is where I'm going to have the other Alabama offensive lineman, Jaden Roberts. I've got him at 7, but I really don't like it all that much. Jaden Roberts is a very tough prospect for me to evaluate because I don't think he does anything extremely well. There's just not a lot there that I'm blown away with. He is a guy that has great size. He's 6'5", 325 pounds. I think he anchors pretty well in pass protection. He's like a brick wall at times where if he gets his feet set, he is almost impossible to move. I also thought his hand placement was overall really solid. There are traits in there with Jaden Roberts that I think are really exciting, particularly in the passing game. But everything else, I think there are a lot of questions with. I don't think he's a great athlete. He's very heavy on his feet. He doesn't move very well. He's a very lumbering mover. That concerns me a little bit. And as a result, he's not an effective puller. He's not a great run blocker in terms of climbing the second level. And for a guy that's 325 pounds, I want to see a little bit more power. I want to see him play with a bit of a more mean streak in the run game. And I just didn't see that whatsoever. I thought he had a bad issue of lunging at times. He's not a great run blocker. He's not a great athlete. He's a good, but I wouldn't even say he's a great pass protector because he does get beat to quickness at times. So I have him at number 7 because I do think the traits and size are positive, but I do think that there are a lot of question marks around him. And let's see if he can really put it all together. I do think he made the right decision going back to school this year, but let's see if Roberts can put it back together. I've got him at number 7. At number 6, I've got Armaj Reed Adams. Very similar conversation to what we just had with Jaden Roberts. Armaj Reed Adams is 6'5", 330 pounds. I've seen him at 340 on some sites. I'm not really sure. 330 is where I went with. He has great size for the position. He's long. He's very densely built. And I think he is a better run blocker than Jaden Roberts by quite a lot. He does show a mean streak. He shows some power. He shows the ability to drive guys into the ground, which I think is really exciting. He also has really good hands. Yes, his hand placement can be inconsistent, and it is a talking point with a lot of people. Can he get better at redirecting rushers? It's one of my biggest questions. But when everything's right for him and he gets his hands on his outside shoulders, he is phenomenal. He is hard to move. He's got really strong, I think, overall footwork. Again, he had, I think, 11 penalties last year. He does get a little grabby at times. That is going to be concerning. And I do think another guy that's just not a great athlete. He doesn't move super well. I think he's a better athlete than Jaden Roberts was, but I have him at number 6. I like the traits. I'm a little bit lower on him than I think the consensus is, but I do think there is some upside in there. I've got a second to a third round grade on Armaj Reed Adams. Entering my top 5 now, we've got Yapani Lolu. Gonna butcher the name, so we are not gonna say it, but this is the center for Oregon. Oregon has 3 offensive linemen that I watched. I watched Emmanuel Pregnon. He didn't end up making it. Lolu is a really fun overall player. 6'2", 325 pounds. I love the frame for the position. His hand placement's phenomenal as well. Another one of these guys that I just think does a really good job of redirecting rushers with his hands. Excellent hand counters in there. And his footwork and pass protection. When you can blend elite hand placement with great footwork, you've got a really good offensive lineman. And I definitely think that is what he's able to do. He is phenomenal in sinking his upper half and his lower half. I think he's a really good player in that phase. He does overset at times. I think his footwork, while it is mostly good, does overset. Can he be a little bit more consistent in the run game? I'd like to see that. I don't think he's a bad run blocker, just had some whiffs, and I did think his blitz recognition wasn't as great as I wanted to see. But I've got a second to a third round grade on him. I'm excited to see what he can do. Oregon's offensive line is going to be really good. Isaiah World, you got Lolu, you've got Emmanuel Pregnon coming in. I mean, this Alex Harkey, their line is going to be really fun, and I'm excited to see what he can do. I've got him at number 5. At number 4 in my rankings, I've got Kaden Green out of Missouri. Missouri has been producing elite NFL talent over the last couple of years, whether it be Darius Robinson in 2023, Armand Membu and Luther Burden in 2024. I think Kaden Green is going to be the guy that's going to be the most hyped up Missouri prospect, if you will. I wanted to like him more than I did. I think I'd have a second round grade on him, a true second round grade. I definitely think he can get into first round conversations because there are a lot of things to really like about what he can do. 6'5", 320 pounds, an excellent chip blocker, maybe the best in the entire draft class, if I'm being quite honest with you. Chips really well, picks up blitzes well. I love his athleticism. He gets to the second level, he can pull, he can climb, and I love his hand placement. I think all of that is really positive for Kaden Green. He is really good at redirecting rushers, showcased good counters, against good competition too, mind you. There's a lot to love about him, but his anchor is a little bit up and down. I think play strength is overall the concern. His lower half, he did get pushed back a little bit too often by more power rushers, but his upper half is where I think I'm most concerned about Green and why I have the biggest question marks. He struggles to maintain blocks. He'll get a good, clean rep. He'll get his hands on the outside shoulders, and then he just loses control and just struggles to hold at the point of attack. It's not something you want to see from a guard, but I do think he can be better as a super heavily sought after recruit. Started at Oklahoma, transferred to Missouri, and I think there is a lot to like about him, but I do have some question marks. And I do have him at number 4. At number 3, I've got Vega Ione out of Penn State, a guy that when I first watched him, I wasn't all that moved by. But as you continue to watch through the rest of the class, you're I like Ione more than him. And I ended up being my number 3 player. 6'4", 334 pounds, elite size for the guard position. I liked his footwork. He's got really strong anchor, moves his feet well in the run game, showcases good hands, counter ability. He's got good athleticism. I think he moves well in the run game. He can get to the second level. He can land some blocks on linebackers. And he's a really smart chip blocker on the inside. I thought that was an area that he really showed good upside. Very similarly to some of the other guys that we have mentioned. Needs to block with more power. Just didn't have a mean streak in his game whatsoever. Definitely don't want to see that. I want to see some nastiness in the run game, and I just didn't think Ione had it. The other area that I think could improve, he doesn't recognize blitzes at a super high level right now. I do think that is something that can get better with time. He's coming back to Penn State, who's going to be playing very deep into the college football playoff, I expect. So I've got him at number 3. I think he's a really good player. He's my top-rated guard in this draft class. So take that for what you will. My top 2 players are both centers. My number 2 is Connor Louu out of Auburn. Connor Louu is fantastic. I really think he is one of the most slept-on draft prospects in the community right now. 6'3", 300 pounds, potential size limitations, but he's playing center. Excellent athlete. One of the better run blockers you're going to find. He anchors really well. His ability to mirror in pass protection is elite. He is so good at utilizing his hands and just showcasing the ability to mirror rushers at a really high level. He made plays in all phases of the game. Run blocking, pass protection. He's also an excellent chip blocker, so you have that in there as well. I liked what he did in the run game overall, but I wouldn't say he's amazing in that phase. There were some whiffs in there. I think he is overall better in pass protection than he is in the run game. And I also think he gets beat to his inside shoulder too much. Definitely has to improve that, but a guy that I think moves well. He's light on his feet, good anchor, great hand counters, and mirroring upside for the center position. And he's my number 2 interior offensive lineman in the class. I absolutely love what he brings to the table. But the reason he's not number 1 is because I think Jake Slaughter is the best center prospect. I want to say he's the best that I've watched. I think he's right on the same tier as Jackson Powers Johnson in terms of, I've only been doing this 3 years now, like fully getting into this. So I would say he's right on that tier with Jackson Powers Johnson. You could maybe go JPJ just strictly due to size, but Slaughter's awesome. Excellent athlete. Again, his hands and his footwork they're in sync beautifully in pass protection. He's a great help blocker, great chip blocker, and has great blitz recognition. So you have all of those boxes checked. But not only does he do all of that stuff so well in pass protection, he also is really strong in terms of his lower half. His anchor, I think, is really good. He does not get moved very easily. And he's a great run blocker. He just does a good job of connecting and flushing guys out of the run game. Yes, he does tend to be a bit of a lunger at times. Plays a little high, and he has some balance concerns. He gets beat inside at times, and he's sub 300 pounds, which is slightly concerning, but when you have a guy that can lock down great pass rushers, can open rushing lanes, he is really strong in his lower half. He's got good hands. Jake Slaughter, to me, is everything you want in a modern NFL center. I think he's scheme versatile, and I'm all in on what he can bring. I've got him as my number 1 interior offensive lineman. But before we go, a few honorable mentions, guys. I think you guys are going to be wondering why they didn't make my list. Bryce Foster was right there. He's a good athlete, but I just don't think he plays with great athleticism. As weird as that sounds, he's not great in space whatsoever. I didn't love his balance, and I didn't love his hands all that well. A guy that I do really love, we mentioned my 2 guys were Luke Pettit, Lynden Cooper, but the third guy is Ben Purvis from Navy. Really, really liked him. I didn't have a lot of access to Navy tape. He is 6'3", 300 pounds, but exceptional athlete in space, good puller, excellent run blocker. Need to see a little bit more, but he was really close to making it for me. Chase Pasantis at Texas A&M, good athlete, definitely has to work on some technique stuff. And then we mentioned Emmanuel Pregnon as well, who was right in that mix, 6'5", 320, great size, good hand fighting ability, but some balance question marks for me, overset and pass protection. But that's going to do it for me in this video. Let me know, who do you think I missed out on? Who do you think should have made my list? Would love to hear from you guys in the comment section. Leave a like, subscribe if you are new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.